Let's get a little more insight on today's hearings on the Hill. Tom LoBianco from 24 Site News is up late with me tonight here on the Final Five for the first time. Tom, good to see you.
Jim, how are you?
Well, good, man. So here's the question. Who had to prove more today? Was it Pete Hegseth going in to prove that his nomination is worthwhile, or was it on Senate Democrats on that committee to make their case against him?
I think, Democrats had a higher bar to clear here. Hegseth, obviously, and we know this as professionals. He came across as a broadcast professional. He was very clean on the stand, very practiced in his answers. And frankly, I thought he did a better job than you might have expected based on a lot of the early reporting on him. I mean, certainly there's quite a good number of scandals that came to light, but his performance was very strong.
In terms of the early opposition, or at least the early skepticism, one of the leading voices was Joni Ernst. And today, it seems as though, actually in recent weeks, certainly, it seems that she had softened her initial, I don't want to say criticism, but her skepticism. Today, it seemed as though he checked off a lot of boxes. He answered a lot of questions that she was looking for, although we don't necessarily have an affirmative yes or no on where she's going. But if you read the tea leaves, it seems like she may have changed her mind.
Yeah, this it goes a lot to the some of the dynamics of Trump world. Now that we're having a second Trump administration, there's a lot of hullabaloo in public. There's a lot of wild proclamations. I mean, this was true of when he was in from 2017 to 2021. It's been true of every political operation he's ever run. But then when you get down to it, and I've written this a few times over at 24site.news, it's pretty routine. And I think what we saw today was a very normal Senate vetting. If you look at Senator Ernst in particular, and she had expressed some concerns earlier. She's a veteran herself, has carried the torch for veterans in the Senate. What was interesting to me was she noted in her questioning, she said, and Mr. Hegseth, we did agree that you will appoint somebody to be a senior officer in the Pentagon to handle sex assault and sex abuse allegations. And he said, yes, Senator, that is correct. So she puts the chit on the table and says, all right, this is basically, without saying it, is telling everybody this is what we bargained on, and I want to have this on the record, which is a very normal Senate vetting process. So, and again, I think what we saw today is just very, very normal. Now, I don't know that applies to other nominees like RFK Jr. or Tulsi Gabbard, but surely a good sign for the incoming Trump administration.
And speaking of those nominees, I mean, those are nominees that you've heard some Democrats already say, we can support those nominations. As far as Hegseth goes, it looks as though if they can convince, every Republican in that Senate, you could still lose a few, you still get the nomination across. Is there a sense, as you look at this process, I mean, again, we've been through this before. We go through confirmations every 4, if not every 8 years. The minority party really, again, goes back to that high bar they have to clear if they're trying to get a point across, if they're trying to make a statement there. Mm-hmm. And Kirsten Gillibrand was one of the ones who had some very pointed questions for Hegseth today. But do you get the sense that there's, on the Democratic side, some resignation that, look, we can kick and we can scream all we want, but Trump's going to get his guys and women, whether we like it or not?
This is the first time that we paid attention to the mechanics of this. And what you heard from the Democrats was a lot of airing of grievances, many justified. Hey, Pentagon nominee, our future likely defense secretary, you never came to meet with any of the Democratic senators. You said you were busy the whole time. If you had come to these meetings, this is what Jeanne Shaheen said, if you had come to these meetings, you would have heard about it in the meeting as opposed to us airing it out on live television right now. Okay. So there's definitely some airing of the grievances and the mechanics on this. Now, Tulsi Gabbard is still in trouble, is my understanding. And if you look at her nomination being pushed back a little bit, that hints at that trouble. But all in all, I mean, very good for this incoming Trump administration today.
Tom LoBianco from 24site.news. Check it out. We appreciate you joining us, Tom. Good to see you.
Thank you, Jim.
Your final thoughts back after this.